Hey guys, welcome back to another Woodbrew video.
In this week's video, we're building this really cool coffee table that has this like spinning top, and it also uses some pretty advanced techniques that you could also apply to many different applications and create some really cool furniture. Even though the techniques aren't that difficult to actually do, they just look really cool and make really awesome shapes. We'd like to thank Inventables and Total Boat for sponsoring this week's video, and without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay.
When have we ever said let's
We
get into
don't know.
You all know how much we love our x-carve, and this is going to help us tremendously with this project. The entire base of the coffee table is going to be stacked 3/4 inch plywood pieces, and each piece is a quarter circle. First, we are using the x-carve to make templates out of MDF for those quarter circles and for the tops. While the machine was actually running cutting those templates, we cut the 3/4 inch plywood down to manageable sizes for all of the work that's about to happen. Grabbing the base template, we could trace out as many as possible onto the sheets of plywood. We really needed 28 total, so we filled up the sheets until we had that many. Moving to the bandsaw, Dylan roughly cut out each piece. We will be flush trimming them in just a minute. To save some time, we pre-drilled all of the holes to screw down the template to all the strips, which is what I guess we could call these. Then we could go and flush trim them all. For our router bit, we were using an astra coated spiral flush trim bit from Bits and Bits. Link and discount code are down below. Astra coated bits are great because they allow a higher speed rate and feed rate while not allowing the bit to overheat. That makes for a super good and accurate cut. So here's where the busy work starts, flush trimming and eventually sanding every single strip. Next up, the top and bottom. To save some time in the video, we traced, bandsawed, jigsawed, and flush trimmed the top. For the bottom, however, we didn't have enough plywood, so we put two sheets together, screwed the template down, and traced it, which is the same as the top. We just won't be cutting out the middle. Then we took the template off and cut out the half circle on each piece on the bandsaw, put the template back on, and flush trimmed it. Now we can glue the two bottom pieces together and start attaching the strips. The strips get glued and pin nailed to the layer below each one, but each layer is alternating. Once they were all in place, we just laid the top down to clamp them together while the glue dried. Now we can move on to making the other top. Ignore the piece missing in the template, that was just the strip template. And then of course, trace, cut, and flush trim. We need to cut a rabbet into the coffee table and then eventually into that second top. We are using another astra coated bit from Bits and Bits. This one is the rabbeting bit set that comes with 7 different rabbet sizes, which is super nice. We are using the 3/16 inch bearing, so you just change that out and you're good to go. We put the entire coffee table upside down onto the router table because we need to router out the top for the sliding part to work.
Anytime you do that, it wants to pull like that out. I think I must have made this a little too
Too what?
too big. Hopefully it's good. So this actually works really well spinning, but we've come to this issue where when you go to pull it, it like pulls out. It doesn't do it that drastically when the top's on. I put this in here thinking that it would make it rotate around the center, which it does, but then it makes it off alignment because it only rotates around the center that way. As soon as you move it, it turns around. So we're having to solve that issue.
While we were brainstorming for a new solution, we went ahead and drilled out a finger pull into the sliding top.
So we figured out a solution for this. It was relatively simple. We ended up adding this piece of dowel that goes through halfway through both pieces and extends past this bottom one down past this one. And it actually adds kind of a cool little stylistic part here. But what that allows us to do is not come off a track when it gets closer over here. Like that. Still allows you to open it and close it.
So we added edge banding to the exposed sides on the tops, sanded and put finish on the inside before we glued the top down. We also tested the finish we are using on the sliding top. You'll see more of the finishing here in just a sec. When the top glue was dry, we sanded the rest of the table and it was time for veneer. We have never used veneer before, so this will be interesting. With contact cement, you put some on the veneer and then some on what you're putting it on. Then you let it get tacky before you put it on, so give it just a few minutes. Wow, that's kind of satisfying. Dylan made a boo-boo.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing. Don't look at it. See? All good. Nothing happened.
Once veneer was done, we could sand the entire thing and start making the legs. We used plywood that already had a finish on when we bought it, but it was all scratched up, so we sanded it off to put our finish on. For the legs, we are using 2-inch dowels, and they will run halfway up the side of the table, so we marked and taped how far that is and got to cutting.
We're adding the legs, and I think this needs a little bit more explanation because these can be kind of tricky. This cut here is not that difficult, but then this part is round. So if this is flat, then it's not going to match the curve here. You can see this one we've cut a curve into, and that's pretty darn close. So cutting that curve can be difficult. I want to show you how we did it and how you can do it. So what we did was we put this in a vise, and we used a combination of a chisel and a rasp to kind of round that. The round is really minimal. It's maybe a 1/16 of an inch difference in the middle than from the edges. So you don't have to take a lot off. What we did, I wouldn't recommend you do. What we did was we used our table saw blade and ran the piece in sideways like this. That is a very advanced move that, unless you already know it exists and have done it and are comfortable with it, I would not recommend doing it. Find another way that's safer for you. And if you do decide to do this, do your research, do it in the safest way possible, and just be aware that there are consequences for doing things like that. And you have to be comfortable and good with your equipment, and don't do things simply because a dude on YouTube did it. So I'm not one to be big on doing sales pitchy sort of sponsor ad placements, and I feel like what I'm about to say is going to be in that realm, but it's something that impressed me so much that I want to show to you guys, because I think this is about the only way to really express the quality of a finish, whereas something like a CNC is pretty easy just to showcase the value in general. But last time when I was putting this finish on, this blew my mind. So right now, the finish is still wet. You can see that. I just got done putting all the finish on. It is 11:28. Now we're gonna come back in 1 hour, maybe an hour and 30 minutes, and I can guarantee you this will blow your mind at how thick and already dry, tack-free I should say, this is, and ready for the next coat. It blew my mind last time, and is something that's leading me into the realm of almost saying this could be my favorite finish I've ever used. All right, so it is 1:28. It's been what, like an hour and a half, is that right? So a little bit longer than I said, but we've eaten lunch, came back. This is tack-free. Look at how thick and nice that looks. That's one single coat with a foam brush, super easy to apply. It's super thick, looks nice with one coat. Honestly, that's what I would get with like 3 coats of a normal finish. That was with their high gloss Lust. So we're gonna build with at least one more coat of this, and then we're gonna put their matte Lust on there. So you build with the high gloss, and then when you're ready for a matte finish, if that's what you're going for, you throw this one. Now guess what? We don't have to do any sanding. We can do up to 4, I think it's 4 or 6 coats, 4 to 5 coats you can do in a single day, waiting until it's tack-free, in our case, hour and a half. So now we can just go ahead, start adding some more finish on, and we'll have this thing completely finished today, which is amazing. If any of you have ever used some high-end finishes, you know it can be several day process. This is gonna be done in a single day, which is big part why I said what I said before. I really enjoy this stuff. There's links in the description below. If you want to try it out, got a little coupon code, go check it out.
This coffee table turned out so cute. I love the sliding top. Even if it is a bit different, it's cool how you can store stuff inside and still use the entire top of the table, but have it look a bit interesting. As always, everything we used is linked down below, as well as the project plans. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.